you read that title, you're probably like, whoa. And I would be too. Yes, I got pregnant when I was 13 and had my first baby when I was 14. Today in this video, I would like to share with you all a little bit about my story, as well as my thoughts on this now. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I will answer one of my most asked questions over the last 24 years, which was, do you regret it? I never thought I would actually be sharing this story, especially not to everyone on the internet, but this could be helpful to someone that sees it. So in honor of my daughter's 24th birthday today, I am gonna share a little bit about this story and the experience. So saying that out loud sounds pretty bad, I must admit. And this was before the whole Teen Mom on MTV era, so it wasn't as cool back 24 years ago as I feel like the media tried to make it be when they started coming out with these Teen Mom shows. Maybe if they had that show when I was 13 and pregnant, I could at least made some money off of it. I'm joking. Or maybe not, I don't know. I don't know if these kids got paid or not. But yes, let's get into the story. So it does sound pretty bad when you say this, but it is bad. But what I will say is I was in one relationship, and it was my first relationship. And so he was a little older than I was, and I, at that time, as a 13-year-old girl, thought I was in love. And maybe I was in love for that age, you know. So anyway, growing up on Disney movies, I definitely had this fantasy about being with one person forever. And, you know, got in this relationship and thought, this is it. This is gonna be my Disney story, right? And let me tell you, getting pregnant at 13 definitely complicates that and creates a bad ending to a Disney story. I'm not really sure what age kids get in relationships at this point. I don't know what is considered normal, but let's just think about this for a second. You're 13, you get in this relationship for the first time, and you don't know anything about relationships. You don't even know hardly anything about yourself. You haven't even developed completely, and you don't know yourself yet, right? And so you're going into this relationship with another young person who is in the same boat as you. And so you're kind of destined for failure because people change. And if you don't know how to have a healthy relationship, you know, you bring a pregnancy and baby into the mix, it's a recipe for failure. So I was in love, ended up pregnant, and was quite shocked. Again, I think because I was so young, it hadn't even crossed my mind that the actions I was taking could result in an actual pregnancy. Again, that's because I was really too young to be engaging in adult activity. So, you know, you have this happen. I've never been through this before. He's never been through this before. And since we're both actually kids, you've got my parents and then you have his parents. None of us have ever been through this before. So none of us know what to do. None of us know the right thing to do. And we're all just trying to figure it out. And unfortunately, because you have a group of people who have never been through a situation like this before, you're just winging it, and there are a lot of emotions involved that kind of can create a lot of chaos. And so unfortunately, you know, that whole experience wasn't very pleasant for any of us. It really wasn't. And naturally so. When I realize what is happening, I'm shocked. And then on top of that, I'm gonna have to go tell my parents and he as well. And because I'm so young, I mean, first of all, I was like, I'm gonna be like in big trouble. Yeah, like big trouble, but we have a big problem because the problem's not gonna go away. Not that I'm calling her a problem because that's not what I mean, but you know, the situation. And so my parents, of course, are very shocked and embarrassed, naturally so and rightfully so. I think his parents were just more shocked and just more kind of like, crap. So like I said, it just wasn't a very pleasant experience for any of us. I'm sure we all kind of have things that we wish that we could have handled better. I know I do, and I'm sure everybody else does too. But at this point in my life, looking back, I just think we all were doing the best we could with the situation that presented itself. So obviously after going through this experience, I have definitely formed some pretty strong opinions about teenage pregnancy. And you know, what you have to realize is that teenage pregnancy is very traumatic. And even if for some reason you are a teenager trying to get pregnant, because that does happen, whether you try or it was unexpected, it's pretty traumatic because you are not emotionally mature enough to be equipped for this. So when you are going through a trauma, your body naturally has a stress response. And that stress response is going to spike your cortisol level, which is then going to also embed that into your unborn child. So you are definitely creating this epigenetic situation to where your trauma is getting passed down to your unborn child. And then you're bringing this unborn child into an environment to where they've kind of already been impressed upon with just a lot of stress, to where they could naturally come out feeling like they are in survival mode. And there's actually this doctor, her name is Darrell Buquet. I don't know how to say her last name correctly. I will link her below. She's got some really good content and books about this subject. So I would highly recommend looking into her material if you're interested in healing trauma and just learning more about that. But of course, at the time, I didn't feel like I was having trauma. I more so was just, you know, a sassy little teenager who knew it all and unknowingly having this trauma. Now looking back after going on my own healing experiences in life, I realized that this trauma definitely shaped my personality when I was 13, and it really made me become a perfectionist and a control freak. And the reason that was, knowing now, is because it was my way of trying to have some type of control or safety or security back in my own life. And you know, some of that probably benefited me and pushed me along in life, but then it also caused other problems because it's not always very healthy to be such a perfectionist and control freak. You know, I had my daughter 6 days before I started back to high school, and I was determined to be like superwoman at this point, to where I wanted to be the one that was up all night with her doing the feedings. I wanted to be the one handling everything and still go to school and make straight A's and graduate top of my class and get a hair license and get a college degree. Like, I was just on, like go mode. But then I was also feeling like, because I had all these adults and people judging me, that I needed to be very controlling and just try to make everything so perfect. And you know, when you're trying to be so controlling, that can come off very aggressive and very agitated, and seem very unloving probably. You know, and so I didn't realize that during that time period, you know. But like I said, it did push me to still, you know, get through school and accomplish a lot of goals. And I obviously, you know, did raise my daughter. But if you think about this, I never got to be an adult without a child. I've never been an adult without a child. Like, I barely know life without having someone that I'm responsible for, because I had her when I was 14. And so that definitely changes my life and my perspective on life, and the way I can live my life versus someone that doesn't have a child when they're a teenager. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying it definitely is different, and you know, just made for a different type of life. And I think there has been, you know, times in life where through observation, every now and then I would be like, wow, that's what life looks like for someone who doesn't have someone that they're responsible for. They have so much freedom. They can do whatever they want. So, you know, sometimes I would realize I was a little restricted, but I was also resilient and, you know, just found ways to still be successful, still make my way in life, you know, still be a mom and try to be the best mom I could be, considering I was such a young mom. But I will say, because of going through this, I definitely was an advocate for making sure she did not go through what I went through. I did not want her childhood robbed, if you will. I wanted her to be able to just be free and experience life and not get, you know, strapped down with a child so young. Not that it's a negative thing, but it's just a different way of life. And you know, when you're a parent, you're always trying to give your kids stuff that you didn't get, or love them the way you felt you weren't loved. So that's what I mean by that. And I will say, I think that for people who want to have kids, it would be much more ideal to be an adult and go through your life experiences, learn yourself, learn what you like, experience stuff that you might not be as easily able to experience when you become a parent, and just really learn yourself and love yourself and be okay with being by yourself, and then finding a partner who has done all that as well. And then when you two come together, you all at that point can look at your values and your morals, and if your parenting styles align or your lifestyles align. And then if they do and you choose to have a baby together, then I just think it would just probably create a lot more happier kids, because there's a lot of people that have kids that they shouldn't, you know. And if more people mindfully had kids only when they were mentally and emotionally healthy enough to do so, we would just have a lot more healthier humans, and the world would probably be a little bit more peaceful, you know? Okay, and so I don't want to make this video so long. If you have any questions and want a part 2 or part 3, just leave the questions in the comment box and I can maybe make a video about it or answer it. So the question that I have always gotten asked ever since having a child so young was, do you regret it? And I've always said no, because I naturally got that intuitive mother protectiveness like immediately, like as soon as I was pregnant. It's kind of hard to explain, especially if you've never had a child, but I don't know, like I've never regretted it. Did it make my life different? Yes. Did it make my life probably more challenging? Yes. Did I go through a lot of stuff that was very traumatic? Yes. Did it make my daughter's life more challenging than it should have been and more chaotic? Yeah, it did. And that's the part that I wish could have been different. Like, I wish I could have had her a little later in life, like now, to where I'm more just emotionally stable and mentally stable. Not that I wasn't then, but I was just a kid, you know. I didn't know myself back then. And now I'm, you know, a lot more laid back. I'm a lot more relaxed, a lot more equipped to give another human being my best self, you know. And I think that can go for a child and just for being a partner in life. You know, you get in a relationship too young before you have your own self-love and know yourself, and you know, things aren't going to be as smooth and seamless when you haven't developed into your true self, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think we're going to end it off there today. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you like my vibe, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.